If prayer would do it, I'd pray. If reading esteemed thinkers would do it, I'd be halfway through the Patriarchs. If discourse would do it, I'd be sitting with His Holiness every moment he was free. If contemplation would do it, I'd have translated the periodic table to hermit poems, converting matter to spirit. If even fighting would do it, I'd already be a blackbelt. If anything other than love could do it, I've done it already and left the hardest for last. Stephen Levine. Welcome to the Poetry Oracle podcast, and thank you for reading and listening. Sorry for missing last week, as I found myself on a much-needed road trip taking me deep into the mountains, soaking in hot mineral springs with a special soul. As I have said before, these are my reflections only on a given poem as I sit with it today in my life experience. And it probably will mean many other things to you and others as they hear it today in their life and in your life. So I offer my reflections from today now in my life. Stephen Levine. Such a great one, who worked with others in the part of life called death and dying, with life's grievings, and also conscious living from a uniquely beautiful inflection of Buddhist perspective. So much I've learned from him over the years, and yet today I find myself again driven using prayer, meditation, discourse, self-contemplation, and the one I do the most, fighting the battles of the world to accomplish it. So what is it that I am trying to accomplish? Is it peace, understanding, acceptance, a life of bliss? As if I did enough of all of these efforts and strivings, supplications, I would finally reach the shining, gleaming bliss hotel to stay and luxuriate forever in my perfect happiness. But this is not realistic in life. To deny the uncomfortable emotions, events, griefs, and eventually even our guaranteed death that also comes with being human. We might not risk the vulnerabilities, the surrendering, and the childlike innocence that comes with not knowing and simmering in the lostness of life. When we are in these places, perhaps it is when we are most divine, and yet I often feel that I must hide, not be seen this way, and pursue the quickest way out of this disquieting, difficult, disorienting, and discomforting place as soon as possible. I also find it hard for many others to be around the sensitive, vulnerable, and deep-feeling folks, so we can often find ourselves out of the mainstream, or even rowing against the stream of human connectedness. It seems so many want to classify, diagnose, and then prescribe the healing elixir they believe will heal me, placing me in the first-class room at the Bliss Hotel. Levine suggests to me that whatever the it is, only love, in the end, is the answer. A love for others, a love for ourselves, and perhaps the hardest, to receive love from others while in the vulnerabilities that feel like when we are the most unlovable, when we don't feel the love for ourselves and or for others. And it is not that prayer, meditation, discourse, self-contemplation, and even fighting the battles of right and wrong are not valuable as vehicles that bring us along the it road to giving and receiving love. Levine says to me, this is the hardest of all. Otherwise, we would choose it way ahead of all of the outer efforts and strivings we seek in healing ourselves and others. That feels, here today, true for me, that somehow the imperfect love I feel and sometimes don't feel much at all is not good enough to give, and at the same time I cannot just receive the love I so need for just being the imperfect, unique human being that I am. And then once in a while, a person comes along in life, like for me this last week, who exhibits love and understanding and just accepts, blesses, and comforts me as I am, seeing the light within me that I sometimes cannot see or feel. Isabel emanates empathetic love, blessing, understanding, comfort, and sees and loves beauty in the world around her. Levine suggests to me that paradoxically, sometimes this love is the hardest part, in quotes, and I experienced that this week being around her light, acceptance, and unconditional love. Why can't I just not revel, bask, and soak in this love? If it feels so good, why not feel it and emanate it myself all the time? Because inside me there is also a feeling of not being deserving enough for this love, of the wounds and traumas that come from not loving or being loved before, unrequited love, or that the love I have to give is imperfect or flawed, and also knowing that love will one day go away again. For that is also true of love. Without the other side of love, how would I know how to feel it when it is in my life? I hope at least some of this makes some kind of sense to you, the listener. And if it does not, that perhaps you feel I am painfully confused. I ask you, love me in my imperfect confusion anyway. And to those who have loved me now, or will choose to love me in the future, thank you from the deep of my heart. And I choose to send out my imperfect love to you and all of the world today. It is not as if the world has ever been overwhelmed with love anyway. Until next time, deep bow and love to you all. About Stephen Levine. And this is from the Ram Dass website. Stephen Levine was a poet and teacher of guided meditation healing techniques. He and his wife and spiritual partner, Andrea, have counseled the dying and their loved ones for more than 30 years. Stephen Levine's best-selling books, A Gradual Awakening and A Year to Live, How to Live This Year as If It Were Your Last, are considered classics in the field of conscious living and dying. He is also the co-author, with Andrea, of the acclaimed To Love and Be Loved and Who Dies? An investigation of conscious living and conscious dying. The Levine's work is said to stretch from the most painful experiences of the human spectrum to the furthest point on the human horizon, from hell to heaven, from pain to ease, from our ongoing sense of loss to the legacy of our unending interconnectedness. A fellow New Mexican, like myself, Stephen passed away after a long illness in New Mexico with his lovely wife, Andrea, by his side in 2016.